Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Seaweed Brain, a Percy Jackson podcast. Today is prep for season 2. We are really close to the premiere of season 2 of the television show, Tackling the Sea of Monsters. And this episode is just going to be getting everybody excited, prepared, on the same page with what's to come. Stick around.
This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. Healthcare professionals can lead their careers with LinkedIn. Discover jobs by specialty, preferred shifts, and even desired salary. From mental health therapists to radiology technicians, it's now faster and easier for healthcare professionals to find the right fit. Learn more at linkedin.com/healthcare. Side effects may include faster job placement, improved work-life balance, and increased career satisfaction.
All right, listen up, nacho chips. Quiet down, crispy potatoes. This is the moment Velveeta's been preparing you for, and you're not about to crack under pressure. Today's the day to go all in on the drip. Velveeta's Heat and Eat Queso is the MVP of any game day spread, so stick by them, and you'll be golden. Now get out there and make delicious history. No tailgate party is complete without Velveeta.
Yippee! If Carter and I sound frantic while recording this episode, it's because we're recording early. We have screeners in our inboxes and we haven't watched them because we have been waiting diligently for days to record this episode out of journalistic integrity and have not watched the screeners. And I am desperate to get through recording this episode so that we can watch the screeners. So that means we need to reorient and reintroduce ourselves. If you're new here, my name is Erica, and I'm joined as always by my co-host, Carter. What's up, Carter?
Hi, hello.
We started this podcast back in 2020 because we wanted to be doing exactly what we're doing right now, obsessing over these 8 episodes adapting our favorite childhood book series. Let's start with season 1, where we last left off, reminding ourselves what happened, and more importantly, the biggest changes that took place in season 1 from book to screen. There were lots of little things, but we compiled a list of what we think are the biggest, most important plot changes, character arc changes that we need to keep in mind as we go into season 2, beginning with the idea of Kleos, the introduction, if you'll recall, from Luke at camp, the idea of glory, this being something that the campers care about, not something that is unfathomable in the books, but it's not something that's explicitly named.
We have Percy acting a little bit differently from the books. He knows more things. His mom is framed as somebody who would have given him background in mythology. So as much as Annabeth, for different creatures, he'll have requisite backstory, particularly when it comes to stories that are not as positive framing for the Olympians. He has a lot of that background.
Yeah, so he's it's not just Annabeth schooling Percy on what's happening all the time. Percy's able to contribute. He's a little bit more aware of the politics of the Greek mythology world. Okay, also we met Lin-Manuel Miranda in season 1, which if you'll remember in the books does not happen until book 2. Hermes had the conversation with Percy in the casino where he introduced the idea of this whole ordeal being a family affair, that your parents are trying their best and that we can't give up on our family, which is the point of the conversation that Hermes has with Percy in Sea of Monsters. So we've already done that. So what this appearance will be interesting. We also had a more sympathetic take on Medusa, which makes a lot of sense. That was the one thing we all knew they were going to update was the portrayal of Medusa from the book of the Lightning Thief. This was a very sympathetic view on her, at least for the first half of that episode. She explains the difficult position that she was put in. She calls out Athena. She calls out Poseidon. And then she becomes somebody who we have to vanquish because our interests are oppositional. Percy's father cares is also a big change, I would say. I mean, this one's hard because you could say this is all in line with what technically happens in The Lightning Thief. But of course, since we're in Percy's perspective, we don't get to see what may have been going down between Sally and Poseidon. So in the show, in season 1, we got to see Sally and Poseidon have a convo, implied that Poseidon has been making these check-in visits throughout all of Percy's upbringing, but that Percy's not allowed to see him. And even Sally is not allowed to look at him when he comes by. But we are to understand and believe that Poseidon actually is doing his best, which I wouldn't say I believed when I first read The Lightning Thief.
I don't think we believed it, and I think that it's not that well textually supported either. I would characterize this as a change, because Sally does drop in some canonical things about feeling overstretched, about not having contact or support. And when we do see Poseidon, I think the energy in the books is more ambivalent than what we get in the TV show, which is warmer and more, I think, precise about constraints that he is feeling to communicate this idea and to make the limitations of Percy's sort of parental experience make sense with this different vision of him and his motivations and his priorities.
Yes, big change overall, taking more of a sympathetic look at the gods as parents. Percabeth, the entire Tunnel of Love episode was really different. If you all will remember, Percy turned into a statue and like made a very emotional sacrifice.
Yeah. Hephaestus showed up.
As Percy was in statue mode, Annabeth had a huge monologue, admittance of vulnerability, these big realizations that really don't happen in the books until maybe like what? Battle of the Labyrinth? I don't know.
Yeah.
Not that these aren't things that she felt in the books, but we really in the books don't get a chance to hear her say this because, of course, she would never say it to Percy's face. And she doesn't in season 1. Percy doesn't know that she feels this way, but we as audience members know how she feels and what's going on in her head. Big Percabeth moment. And then we had Annabeth in the fields of Asphodel in the underworld.
Yeah. So you might remember that in the original books, the three of them journey relatively straightforwardly through the underworld. Grover has his little Tartarus pole. They have this Cerberus dog behavior school situation. But all three of them make it to Hades' palace and have this confrontation bargaining session. Annabeth in the TV show does not. We watch her get stuck in the fields of Asphodel and basically use a pearl to leave early. She doesn't complete the journey with them. And it is heavily implied in the show that the reason why is because she has a different sense of guilt, a higher amount of emotional baggage that is getting her stuck there. I think also maybe writerly perspective, it was also trying to, I guess, leave open the option for first time.
That she could have been.
That she was the traitor. If this was your first time being exposed to the story, you might have come away from episode 7 of season 1 thinking that it was sus and strange that she didn't go with them to that final thing. And so maybe somehow it is still her fault, even though I feel like the Luke situation is also pretty heavily foreshadowed as Hermes meets them in the previous episode and talks about how he's a failure as a parent, kind of, but doing his best.
I think we're supposed to feel also at the end of season 1 that guilt that was weighing her down was like guilt about her family and like her parents. And that's why she ends up, going back home and giving it another try. But I think that it also says something interesting about the level of guilt she has, of course, over like the death of Thalia and maybe even like responsibility for Luke.
Yeah, it is a good setup for the...
Wait, but she doesn't know Luke is bad at that point, so it can't be that.
No, but that is, of course, the final major change that happens is the sort of Luke villain speech is much more persuasive.
It's a recruitment instead of a straight up murder.
Yes. He tries to get Percy to come with him before he tries to kill him.
Yes. There's no scorpion, only swordplay.
But also, major twist, Annabeth is there the whole time. She's invisible. She reveals herself and is as betrayed and as party to the whole situation as anybody else.
Yes. So most of the major changes I would say happened on the end of being more in tune with the perspective of the parents throughout this story, and also at the end of the season and judging the end because, of course, when Rick first wrote this book, we didn't know everything that would be to come. And then we got to come back and make a little bit more of a clean ending for The Lightning Thief as we segue into Sea of Monsters, and also just create Luke. I'm going to say this a lot throughout this episode. As people who have always been Luke empathizers, understanders, advocators, understanders. I was really struck in my reread of Sea of Monsters at how cartoony villain he feels in the book and how different I know that that's about to be in the show. Just the setup at the end of season 1 and like what we've seen in the teasers so far, it's going to be a very different flavor. And I can say that even though I know that like I was like, am I just seeing him in this way because I always saw him in that way? And no, the book, it's a very different character personality in the book, I would say.
Well, okay. It's this combination of getting perspectives that aren't Percy's and literally not seeing the world through his eyes that is giving us some of this. And I think the other thing is pulling threads earlier. Things that are going to have payoffs in the final seasons, we're trying to make present, clean, relevant throughout. So some things about Luke's personal journey, the growth of monster generations around the world, Kronos' relationship with people, that's all getting foregrounded earlier.
Yes.
Which does make sense.
Moving on to what we felt were our biggest critiques of season 1. As podcasters, if you care about our opinions, this is now in subjective territory and no longer making objective statements about the season. We thought it was very dark. We would love to see season 2 being brighter. And so far, that seems like it's absolutely the case.
That, by the way, is an optical statement. That's not a tonal statement. It is
Yes.
Literally the contrast in scenes where there wasn't that much light present in the shoot was not very high, and it was difficult to see the outlines of shapes.
Yes.
And we like to see the outlines of shapes. And so we were hoping for higher contrast, maybe a little more of that sort of blue light, soft, like moonlight type of situation in those dark moments.
Yep. And it seems, based on the footage we've seen so far, that season 2 is already looking to be quite a bit more able to see shapes. So that'll be exciting. But speaking of tonally, it was very interesting to see this perspective on the Percy Jackson material from such a different tonal point of view. I'm super interested to see if that tone shifts a little bit on the dial, on the spectrum. For season 2, I don't think it's going to...
Let's lay out what the spectrum is. The spectrum is goofy to epic, right? Roughly?
I would have to agree. Goofy to Lord of the Rings. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, I mean, it is an epic story, but I think that, when you're comparing it tonally to Lord of the Rings, the difference is about how strange, unique, specific, and light the perspective is that you're juxtaposing against the scale scope of the grand adventures and mythologic invocations.
Is it fair for me to say decom to Lord of the Rings? Is that like doing decoms a disservice? Because some of them are very serious,
I don't think decom is right, actually, because part of what we're getting at is that the humor, some of it is kind of dad jokey, decom-y humor. Those are not exactly the same thing, but things pulling from both of those traditions. But I think part of it is also genuinely strange, surprising. Some of the, like things not just being jokes, but also sight gags or ideas about how you're going to juxtapose the modern against the mythical. A lot of the choices of that in the series are
more mythical than contrasting.
Yeah. Whereas like Rick really is trying to lean into the absurdity of the juxtaposition a lot and have those juxtapositions feel like surprising and very much from like his point of view and not something that everyone would sort of reach for as the like core truth. Like if we were going to canonize the like one best possible, most defensible juxtaposition, we're going to pick this one. Does that? I think we've made our point.
I hope that makes sense to people. Yeah, I also think that this is something that a lot of people felt. Like the books are very silly, goofy. We're obviously in Percy's perspective. And so that narrative would be expected in the show to be not as present because we're spreading, the perspective around all of this cast of characters. But the world itself was not as goofy as the world itself of the Percy Jackson books. Like, I don't think you can just say, oh, well, we're not in Percy's perspective, so it's not that goofy. It is a difference in the world itself and like the world building and the overall tone. And we enjoy things being goofy. We've long since said the most like accurate tonal adaptation of the Percy Jackson books is the musical, the Lightning Thief musical. And that doesn't mean we didn't enjoy season 1 because we loved it. It's just a very different take on the story.
It's okay to change the tone in an adaptation. We were just okay to change the surprised tone. And we enjoy the original tone of the books.
Yeah. And I think that there's room for the Sea of Monsters to be a little bit goofier. So I'm interested to see if we do make it a little goofier, because once we get to the Titan's Curse, things are getting very serious. So if we were to turn that dial a little bit more towards sassy contrast juxtaposition, it would be this season.
Like if we were going to see a tricked out monster donut shop that looks like a Wendy's or whatever, this is when we might see it. So we'll be keeping our eyes peeled for that. It is also, of course, it is an enduring feature of the books that some of the goofiness, the observational humor is not in contrast to the darkness or the heaviness, and that we could continue to see that as we proceed. And especially now that we are in a, let's say, a different commercial phase, less uncertain corporate situation for the TV show where we are renewed a season in advance and could maybe, hopefully, they might renew it through the end at some point if it continues to be successful.
You know you want to do it. All our friends at the Mouse listening to this.
Yeah, you can imagine more tonal flexibility to like do what's best for the show and like be less worried about grabbing people if we already have them.
Is it also fair for me to say that in the post Game of Thrones media universe, every streaming service needs at least one Game of Thrones running at a time, which like mandates a level of epic from everything that is almost a direct effect
that is
of a post Game of Thrones universe.
The industry background story. Yeah, that this is like what the Disney answer to Game of Thrones would and should be. But that doesn't, I again still feel like that doesn't preclude the tonal differences. Like Game of Thrones, like weirdly, like even though it ended up being really monocultural, I don't think that was inevitable. And I don't think that monoculture A exists anymore and B is incompatible with goofy jokes about things. Yeah,
I think it's just a general idea that like, and I'm not saying John Steinberg and Dan Schott sat down and were like, we need to make Disney Plus Game of Thrones. No, I think that Disney Plus was like, Percy Jackson will be our franchise, as it should be. It just happens to be that I think that the board, unnamed the board, believes that a franchise needs to be epic. Does that make sense?
It does.
That like due to the requirement of creating a media empire franchise for a company, that it needs to err more on the side of epic than goofy. Okay. I think that's enough on season 1. I think it's time for us now that we have reoriented ourselves to get into season 2. So I finished rereading The Sea of Monsters this morning. And before we talk about what we think is going to change, let's remind ourselves of what is present in The Sea of Monsters. Biggest themes. Go.
Oh, gosh. Biggest themes in The Sea of Monsters. I think we are reevaluating friendship and what that looks like through the sort of interesting shared experiences of the Grover empathy link and Tyson new brotherhood situation.
And reconciling with Clarice.
Yes, reconciling with Clarice. And it's, I think, jointly this question about, like, what does friendship look like given the strangeness of the world that we're in and the, how do like dangers and deities and the kind of family dynamic of everybody affect what these friendships look like. And on the other hand, relatedly, it's a lot of these questions about what a hero looks like in a different way from Titan's Curse and in a different way from the Lightning Thief. I think this is specifically like we're introducing fatal flaws. I think Clarice is also like very much part of this story, that we're seeing another set of pressures and another set of ideas about what success looks like and how to measure ourselves against that and what it means to not be at the center. Maybe like this, you'll remember also, is a book where Percy isn't supposed to go on the quest. This is his first time sneaking out because he feels strongly about something, but is having to wrestle with this question about to what extent it is because he's the right person for the job, or feels like he has something to prove, or maybe has difficulty seeing other people's merits and perspectives.
Yes, it's so interesting. It feels like so much of the Sea of Monsters is just introducing ideas that are going to be like significantly more developed in the Titan's Curse. Like even this idea of these dual forces pulling him on the quest, where we have, obviously he feels like he's the right person to go and save Grover because that's his best friend, but also he really badly, at least in the book, feels the need to prove that he's the cool son of Poseidon because he's feeling this embarrassment about being related to Tyson. He says that he feels like it's a joke to be a son of Poseidon now. And so he feels the need to reestablish his own Kleos and his social status at camp and his like self-worth through going on this quest. But that idea of what makes a hero and like what kind of hero do we want to be is really what takes up so much space in the Titan's Curse. And we get to think more about Hercules. So that's like the beginning percolations in the Sea of Monsters. Who's really a monster?
Yeah.
Which is, again, a thought, like the theme that got brought up already in season 1 with Medusa. I wonder if Percy's going to whip out on Annabeth like a, don't be mean to Tyson. Like, remember we had that whole speech?
Tyson is the most obvious way that we're going to ask this question and think about this, but there are a lot of figures who will naturally raise these questions. Circe, obviously. I can't imagine we're going to talk to Scylla and Charybdis, but there's a whole rich legacy there.
Let's just pause. We're on the Ironclad and we're like, hey girls, can we just take a moment, please? Let's have a dialogue, all right? Let's have a dialogue. No, I don't think that will be happening. But that's what the Court of the Dead is for.
Happening. But yeah, we might see some stuff with Polyphemus, and I think that as much of the conversation about what true monstrosity is involves evil doing from people who are ostensibly supposed to be on our side, like kind of Cersei, who is not a monster, but is maybe the most threatening antagonist that we're facing. Polyphemus, obviously, but then like Ares is also going to be showing up and being bad in new and different ways that we haven't actually been exposed to yet.
Yes. And also we should cite that it was Craig, I believe, who told us at San Diego Comic-Con when we asked about monstrosity in this season that there's going to be a little bit of a twist on Polyphemus that is not in the book.
Woke
maybe
Polyphemus.
A little bit more. Woke Polyphemus. He's gay and he wants to host dinner parties.
I don't think it'll be that. It'll be something.
Go back, listen to our Odyssey Summer woke. I think I might have named that episode the Woke Dissy.
Yeah.
Go listen to it for all of our pitches on what books and things narratives we want to see.
Yeah, the Skill and Charybdis that you won't see this season. That's also in that episode.
Yeah, go listen to it. Something else that happens in season 2, again, this like teeing up that's going to get further developed in the Titan's Curse is the Great Prophecy. So in the book, the Great Prophecy is not directly named for Percy, but it gets brought up a couple times and Annabeth finally tells him as much as she knows about it, which is that half-blood of the eldest gods, who's not supposed to be born, is going to become a weapon of some kind, a very dangerous weapon to Olympus.
Yes.
And then the idea of the 16th birthday is also brought up. So we don't have the full prophecy, but Percy knows that something's going to happen on his 16th birthday. And he feels like he's realizing through this knowledge that the thread that the Fates cut in season 1, in book 1, is his death. And he's going to die when he's 16.
This is also generally a structural feature that you may have noted about many books where the precise series count is not inked in paper at the time the first book comes out. That there is some sort of grand organizing thing that we maybe can't write down just in case the number of books in the series ordered or whatever is different and we need to finesse some things, which is why book 2, book 3 is frequently when people in these types of fantasy speculative fiction series will start to be a little bit more precise about saying, okay, this is an age, that's a number, that's a commitment, and we're gonna have to circle back to that precisely at some point. And that's what we're doing here. And I think we're able to tee it up a little bit more in the TV show because, again, there was, I guess, also technically not a commitment for the full 5, but I think a stronger sense that the whole arc is present, it does exist, and we can reference it as such. But Percy's still gonna learn some new things.
Go on, renew it. You know you want to do it. Other than that, teamwork makes the dream work. Don't give up on your family. These are things that are present in season 1 of the TV show, but are really present in book 2 that are going to have to get amped up in season 2 as well. Especially because not only are we not giving up on Tyson, we're not giving up on going to save Grover. Annabeth is not giving up on Luke. And Percy needs to at least feel like Hermes is pushing him to not give up on Luke as well.
Yeah.
Okay, that out of the way. Quick summary of events in case you haven't had time to reread Sea of Monsters, because when this episode is coming out, the show is going to drop next week. We start in New York City. I'm going to go through this really fast. New York City, Grey Sisters taxi to camp. Hermes visit, Hippocampi to the Princess Andromeda. Princess Andromeda lifeboat all the way to Charleston, where we get to the Ironclad. Ironclad to Scylla and Charybdis, Tyson boiler room explosion. Annabeth uses winds to escape with Percy, we think Tyson's dead. Emergency rowboat all the way to Seas. Queen Anne's Revenge, that's a pirate ship. On Queen Anne's Revenge, flashback. Queen Anne's Revenge to the Sirens. Sirens to a bubble under the sea. Bubble under the sea back to Queen Anne's Revenge. Queen Anne's Revenge to Polyphemus' island where Clarice already is. Tyson ex machina shows up to save the day. Queen Anne's Revenge sinks. We have Grover back now. We all take Hippocampi with the Golden Fleece to Miami Beach where the Princess Andromeda is. Side note, this is where I think the plot on the TV show is going to start to significantly diverge.
Yeah.
Because in the book, party ponies show up. Party ponies save the day from the Princess Andromeda fight. We party pony travel all the way up the eastern seaboard back to camp. Hermes visit part 2 to deliver a note, which is brace yourself from Poseidon. Final chapters of the book, post Andromeda fight, super chill, and then Thalia appears. Thalia. Sorry.
I think it's Talia in the books. Wow, that was a very map-based recollection of
because when I was rereading,
transit.
I haven't read this book since we did started the podcast in 2020. And I was like, I know individually everything that occurs, but I don't remember in what order.
Yeah.
And how we
linkages.
get where. I was thinking about that when we were watching the trailer and trying to predict like where they were at what times. I was like, wait, how many times do they go to which boat and like which boat is when? So I will be referencing this throughout our coverage of season 2 to remember like what is differentiating from the book. Unfortunately, Card and I are going to kick off our predictions conversation by saying we think the party ponies are going to be cut. We think they're cutting the party ponies.
Almost certainly. When we look at that battle scene, we've seen a lot of footage now of this battle on Half-Blood Hill. Luke is there in armor. There's like a bunch of fog at the beginning and then it dissipates. That seems like it is mutually exclusive with the Luke conflict on the deck of the Princess Andromeda in Miami, from which we are rescued by the party ponies. After Clarice has already gone ahead with the Golden Fleece and taught us all a valuable lesson about humility and teamwork.
Seems like we're having some kind of fight on the deck of the Princess Andromeda because of that shot of Clarice and Annabeth like walking up with their weapons. And then after that, the actual true final battle of the season is going to take place at Camp Half-Blood as opposed to on the ship.
Yeah.
Small skirmish of some kind, maybe even not a conflict of any sort that ends up like being swordplay, and then full battle at the end at camp. Also, I think that the internet is kind of on the same page about this now. Thalia most definitely appearing during that final battle.
Oh, that makes sense.
Because, yes, the last couple chapters of the book are like really sweet and we're just kind of like hanging out at camp. And then all of a sudden, what? There's a girl at the tree? But for a TV show, that's not going to work. There's no time. There's no time for that. It's not dramatic enough. So her like showing up like 10 minutes after we put the fleece on the tree might very well happen.
I see the vision.
I also kind of feel like maybe, do you think that they're going to give us the full prophecy in the TV show this season? Or just more allusion to it, like in the book?
I would be surprised. In the books, you'll remember the prophecy is only actually read to us. We only get the text of it in the final book, The Last Olympian, at the beginning. And Percy has this kind of whole moment where he gets this concrete confirmation in his view, in his overly confident reading of the text, that he's about to die. I would be surprised if we get all of it. I could see us getting more information than Eldest Gods, age 16, which are the first 2 lines. But I don't know how much more we would get. Although there is going to be more Thalia this season because of the whole flashback that we know is happening. So maybe that'll be... I could see it being bigger and factoring in more. Yeah.
I also did want to make a note about what we know going into this season is different on a non-plot but production side of things. Last season, the show was utilizing the volume stage, which if you haven't heard of, has been used in many, many projects. It's a very useful tool. It's basically like several LED screens put together, which you can have backgrounds on.
Yes.
It's very helpful for lots of different kinds of shooting. If you want to know more about that, go listen to our interview with cinematographer Jules O'Loughlin from season 1. We talked a lot about the volume stage, how difficult it is, how useful it is, etc. They're not using the volume this season, which means for us to know as audience members, a lot of things are practical. We're shooting on location or we have built that set by hand, wood, nails, etc.
Yeah. The volume is both like a green screen replacement, but also is a source of light in some ways. And so we will have to do both of those things differently. There will be bigger expanses of physical things in the surrounding, and there will be more light.
And more, I would say more flexibility of light, because once the volume screen is set, they can't change a lot in post, is what I learned from Jules during that episode. So more flexibility on the day of shooting and whatnot when it comes to lighting. So just like overall more practical stuff going on in this season from a production standpoint. Also from a writing standpoint, this book has 6 main characters. I mean, the season has 6 main characters, which is maybe not necessarily true of the book.
I would say it's not true of the book.
Yeah. We're going to be following all 6 of these folks throughout the whole season. So Percy, Annabeth, Tyson on a quest, also Clarice on her quest, also Grover on his quest, also Luke on his cruise ship.
Yes.
I kind of think we're going to get A plot, Percy, Annabeth, and then the B plot is going to cycle between Grover, Clarice, and Luke.
That sounds right. Yes. which will be more of all three of those characters than we get in the books. For Luke and Clarissa, I think it's relatively straightforward to imagine what they're going to be doing, even though we don't see it in the books. There's enough allusions to what's going to be happening. Luke is going to be having a mental illness, power struggles with Kronos. Already we're seeing the sense of him being out of control. And we'll probably also see the actual machinations of recruiting more demigods. We have a named Luke sympathizer demigod, which is new and is probably leading us to believe that we're going to see more of those types of interactions. Clarice, dad struggles, leadership struggles, etc. Grover, I'm genuinely kind of curious because I know that Arian is not going to go, like, he can't go more than 2 episodes without being on screen in a meaningful way. And obviously we have the empathy links, but presumably there's going to be some other stuff going on. I think it's hardest to imagine what Grover is going to be doing in those B plots. I guess we could be learning more about Polyphemus that way, but it feels less obvious to me what the dramatic tension of Grover's B plot arcs is going to be based on what's in the books, which will make them potentially very interesting. I trust them.
We know at some point he's going to run into the Kronos army.
Right.
And he's going to discover his pan flutes off of a satyr skeleton. General spelunking. Maybe going to Reykjavik.
Yeah, maybe going to Reykjavik. I actually, though, now that I'm saying these things out loud, I do feel like he will probably be our vessel for learning more about Polyphemus, given that we know we're doing woke Polyphemus. That maybe I don't know. I have to assume we'll still have a conflict, but maybe by the time we get there, Grover is going to be a little bit more nuanced on that whole situation based on the interaction that we will have already seen between the two of them.
Right. Like the situation is a lot more nuanced than that. All right. I have a bunch of bullet points of questions / predictions that I will now ask Carter. Wow, I took a lot of notes. Okay, beginning with George and Martha. Do you think that George and Martha are going to make an appearance in this season? Reminder to everybody that we first meet them in book 2 during our first Hermes visit.
Yeah. Reminder on a reminder, they are the snakes on the Caduceus. Yes.
Do you think that we're going to see George and Martha this season?
I feel like the show seems to quite enjoy a one day of work celebrity cast. And this seems like a really fun and easy opportunity to indulge that proclivity. I would like to see it.
I would like to see it. I feel like based on what we saw in the teaser of Hermes talking to
Percy,
I
didn't see them.
Doesn't seem like the vibe, but you never know. We would love to see the contrast.
Yeah. And I feel like we could imagine, especially given that it's Lynn, a particular, maybe specific universe of people who might be interested in being comic relief for Lynn for, say, like 1 hour of work in a voiceover studio. That could be really fun.
Could be. We'll see. My guess is unlikely, but I would really like to see it. I would love to be pleasantly surprised. All right. My next question is, how messy is Percy actually going to be? Because we know that show Percy is a little bit more just smarter, emotionally intelligent as well. Is he going to get super embarrassed by Tyson at camp? Is he going to say, feels like being the son of Poseidon is a joke now?
Yes.
I used to be the cool guy who rescued Zeus's lightning bolt.
100%. I feel like that arc, like the Tyson arc, definitely, we need maximum mass because it's a 1-season arc. The other arcs that leave him ending in not a great place at the end of the season are more difficult. And I think that's where it would be harder to imagine them leaning in to it. But like the Tyson thing, because by the final episode of this season, we're going to completely resolve that. He's going to have made his journey. Family is more important than glory. Like that feels like a slam dunk to me. And 100%, they have to indulge it, right?
Question I have about the Thalia flashbacks. Do you think that there will be one flashback episode, like in which the flashback takes place, which in the book is on, I think, the Queen Anne's revenge, like I just said? Or do you think the flashbacks will be like peppered in throughout the season?
One episode feels less likely to me and more of a sort of, I don't even want to say new TV, but like that is the medium that we're in. Like the 8-episode direct to streaming, that is the format where we really got the idea that your flashback is a standalone episode. And it's normally episode, say 5, where you completely change perspectives, do something else, and just inform, give you a breather for pacing reasons. I would be surprised, but I think it would make sense. It is literally not a possibility that I've thought about until you raised it. The only concern I would have is that we're already balancing 6 season regulars.
Yep.
And at any given point in time, like 4, they're like in 4 different places. So like dedicating a whole extra episode, A and B plot, to like a flashback in which I guess 2 of those, no, not even, because we're going to have a different actress for young Annabeth. Only one of those season regulars is going to be present in those flashbacks. Feels like logistically, I don't know that SAG rules that well, but yeah, it seems like a lift.
Yep. I'm very curious. I'm kind of leaning towards one episode, but for those who are scholars of the Steinbergian, Schatzbergian theatrical universe, a very Steinberg turn of television is to introduce a new character via backstory flashbacks in a subsequent season that completely changes everything we know about the fabric of the reality of our story and every relationship dynamic that we previously knew. So for Percy Jackson, for the Steinberg twist onto this season, it is like introducing Thalia into the mix and getting to know like what she means to both Luke and Annabeth, and have like completely challenging what we know about Luke and Annabeth's relationship in a way, which to me feels like we would be getting it sprinkled in throughout the season. But I don't know. I do think the streamy thing to do is to do one episode.
That yeah. I think it would be really cool if they did it. And I do think that you're right, that to justify a flashback, given all the other structural things about the show, it's going to have to be relatively information dense compared to the books, where I think we have to be learning a lot more than just Luke and Annabeth's relationship and why Annabeth has maybe these prejudices about Cyclopses. I could imagine, for instance, the Great Prophecy tee-up being all in the flashbacks or something like that. Yeah, it's deeper in the fabric of the TV show.
Speaking of teeing up, this is the first book where Luke is off on his own and Percy says, "You got spies at camp," or it might be Annabeth who says that. And this is also the first book where we name Selena and Charles Beckendorf. Now, this has been a conversation of much energy within the fandom online. Are we going to see Selena and Charlie in this season? Is a question. There is obviously the chariot races. Like, you would assume that whoever is in the chariot for the Aphrodite cabin and the Hephaestus cabin is going to be like quote unquote Selena and Charlie. My opinion is that they're going to have people in those chariots who are like quote unquote Selena and Charlie, but that they aren't going to be named and they will not say words.
I agree. Yeah. Do you want to say a little bit about the business of television reasoning why that's probably the case?
You can't hire an actor to do 2 lines in one episode of a TV show and then expect that they will be available in 2 seasons from now. Yeah. So it's just not logistically feasible.
I think that they will definitely prioritize, like make sure that they get good people for the roles who can be there for seasons 4 and 5.
Now, if you've been following us on social media, I decided to start a thing today as a Monday, November 17th that we're recording this episode, where I'm going to do a little question of the day on predictions every day. So if you've been following that, some of this might be familiar to you. But I'm going to say now, I think that before we get that shot in the trailer where Luke absolutely decks Percy in the face and like probably breaks his nose during what we're calling the final battle at camp of the season, that Percy is going to say something to Luke that's going to cause him to punch him in the face. Like, either your dad told me not to give up on you, dick, or something about Thalia.
Yeah. Shared like secret he learned from Annabeth about the before times that we saw in the flashback.
Absolutely.
Feels most likely, but we'll see. We'll see.
Keep her name out of your mouth. Punching you in the face and breaking your nose. We already discussed party ponies. They're cut. Sorry. I wonder if we'll see Chiron at all this season is my question. Because he comes back after... Yeah. Like, the reason the party ponies show up and he comes back is because he gets... exonerated. Yeah. Do we think he's going to come back?
I feel like I could see him being... Like, if we're doing final episode is final battle, we're probably going to want multiple breaks in that. Like, the whole structure of The Last Olympian is just like a long battle with different waves of reinforcements being our like flavor text. I can imagine flavor text 1 where you might have a commercial break if it weren't on streaming. Or some people I think do have commercial breaks in this, right? is that how Disney Plus works? Yeah.
Over the last 20 years, L'Oréal Paris has honored 200 women of worth, uplifting their communities. Women who see the worth in every person, overlooked or underserved, who see an opportunity for change, who see a chance for better. They may be one of 200, but their journeys are always uniquely one of one. Here's to 200 more women of worth.
We're worth it.
We're worth it.
We're worth it.
We're worth it.
Okay, Chad. Today you're gonna drive the all-electric Toyota BZ.
But my electric vehicle phobia. I'm not ready, Dr. Ross.
I believe in you.
Oh my gosh. We're inside it.
Try to take deep breaths, okay?
The ventilated seats, they're touching me.
You can do this, Chad. Drive the car. How do you feel, Chad?
I feel cured. Woohoo! I'm doing it! I'm doing it!
The all-electric BZ. One drive can change your mind. Toyota. Let's go places.
Flavor break 1, Kyron comes back. Maybe the party ponies are there. Reinforcements. We got like 5 minutes of slightly different battling because of that. And then final is Thalia.
Won't it be nuts if we're totally wrong and the party ponies are present in like a big way?
Key to the final battle.
Yeah. I don't think that's going to happen. Oh, this is maybe not so much a prediction as this is just a thought I'm having, that it's so interesting in this book how Percy is compared to multiple different people. Like Percy is obviously already been compared to Luke in a sense. Luke is trying to recruit him at the end of season 1, but there's more of that this season.
They're set up more as foils. Yeah, set
up more as foils this season, but also a lot of direct comparison with Tyson. Like, am I just like Tyson? Am I an embarrassment? You know, am I like, what does it mean for us to both be brothers?
Yeah.
And then also Annabeth explicitly comparing him to Thalia and getting that very important piece of dialogue where she says, Percy, you know who you remind me of most? Thalia. You guys are so much alike. It's scary. I mean, either you would have been best friends or you would have strangled each other. And I think that like trio of force of which one of these people is Percy actually the most like? Is it Tyson, Luke, or Thalia? I think is going to be something that is played up a little bit more in the series and more of a question for Percy on his journey.
When you were talking about hero comparisons, I thought you were going to Odysseus with Jason of the Argonauts fame Moon.
It's the way I don't think about them at all that I didn't. We've been talking about this for this long and we haven't brought up Odysseus, and this is literally the Odyssey.
Okay, that is my question. Do you think that the show is going to be explicit about Odysseus as potential inspiration, someone to learn from,
he
or
has to get
differentiate
named. I mean, he's going to get named because of Polyphemus.
Yes.
And Jason's going to get named because of the fleece.
Yes.
And I think that if it comes down to woke
but like,
Polyphemus,
do you think people are going to describe them as humans beyond having achievements? Like Jason,
I think that Polyphemus,
probably not. Polyphemus on Odysseus,
yeah,
that's the
he's
woke
gonna be like,
angle, right?
I hate that guy. Yeah,
Odysseus. Yeah,
he's gonna be like, that guy nearly blinded me or full blinded me. That was awful. And then Grover is gonna be like, whoa, heroes can be kind of violent, huh? And they're gonna like maybe bond over that.
I don't know if I should. Why not? I don't know if you saw that Elon Musk has been talking recently about Odysseus.
No. Not before the frickin' Christopher Nolan movie.
Masculine hero.
That's not.
I think is what he said.
Well, that's true.
That's what I was going to tee up for you. I think that we're in agreement that it's true and that he's bad.
It's not true. Well, I mean, it's true that he's that Odysseus is bad, and we are not Odysseus stans. And I wouldn't say that Odysseus is bad in masculine ways, because what we would traditionally think of as masculine, like Odysseus, the whole point of him is that he's like the trickster guy.
He's conniving. Yeah. Okay, let's split the difference. He is a bad person, and he's then also it's not that good of a reading.
It's a bad the
canon.
To be clear, Elon Musk did a bad reading. He's an idiot, and he did a bad reading, and also Odysseus sucks.
Yeah. I think he is bad in ways that are masculine, but he's not, like, the idea that he's paradigmatic of that is not quite right. Theseus is probably,
Isn't
Theseus
Hercules
is closer. Hercules is closer.
Hero?
Other people, I feel like Jason. I mean, I guess Jason in some tellings is like a kind of a child. I feel like Jason's closer. Achilles, homosexual, is closer.
I also don't want to talk about this more than we have to, but it is so easy for me to picture all of the like boys when we were in high school who were like such Elon Musk stans also being like, Odysseus is my favorite hero because he's the smart one.
That's the.
It's like very on brand
Elon
for the horrible brand. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Anyway. Okay, feels like enough of that.
Let's put that in the past. That conversation in the past. Question, monster donuts. Do we think we're getting the monster donuts? Because we saw a little monster donut cereal box at San Diego Comic-Con.
Like, is the question, are we getting a set piece?
Yes, because I'm kind of thinking no.
I feel like they would have teased it already, maybe, if they had done it, because a lot...
That's kind of what I'm thinking too.
Yeah. Based on what we've seen so far and the general contextual information we have, I would be surprised if this season is heavier on the aesthetic modernity when we're doing these mythological appearances. I think if anything, it's going to be heavier on the mythologic side than season 1, because a good portion of this is going to be in the Sea of Monsters. It's going to be literally outside of the mortal world, so it wouldn't make sense.
The comparison point I'm thinking of is that when we went to Auntie M's, we weren't in that diner at all. We went straight into her musty house.
Yeah,
so
it was gothic. It was mythologic basically already, yeah.
So the thought of us going into, on the dial, it was more towards the mythologic epic. On the thought of us going into like a kitschy donut shop, it seems like it's not going to happen. Also, why would we get a cereal box with a Monster Donut logo on it if we're going to a donut shop? I feel like that is an Easter egg prop. You know what I mean? But I don't know.
We could be surprised. I don't feel like it would be the most expensive set to make for like 2 minutes of filming, and then immediately
CGI-ing the Hydra
outside. Oh, you're saying we cut the Hydra?
I don't know. I feel like
I haven't seen any of the Hydra in the promo material.
I'm saying.
They can't release everything in like they need to gag us with some stuff. I'm sure that there's going to be 2 or 3 stunt casts and 2 or 3 set pieces that we have seen zero visual components of. In much the same way that for season 1 we saw zero, like we saw almost none of the casino in advance, right? And we saw almost none of we saw like 1 shot of the Tunnel of Love in advance. But
that's
a lot
true.
of the
that was a big shocker.
Details
episode.
of those things weren't there. Like a lot of the elements of the Arch episode, I think, other than like we didn't see the Chimera at all. That was not teased.
Okay, I have something else to say about why I think that the Monster Donut Shop is maybe not happening. We have cut like capitalism. You know what I mean? We have cut capitalism in the TV show. We have cut the flame of Western civilization. And the whole point of the Monster Donut Shop was that it's a monster nest, you know, that they pop up like Starbucks as a chain is like it's connected to a monster's life force, and inherently chain stores are bad and evil and come from Tartarus. And that doesn't feel like something that is going to be happening in season 2.
Wow, that really took me out.
But we did. Did we not cut capitalism?
Did you feel like capitalism was in season 1?
No, that's what I'm saying. It wasn't.
No, but okay. I do feel like capitalism is in book 1, I guess is a better question, because I think not really. I think it's a thread that gets picked up and developed as Percy gets a little bit older and is capable of seeing more sociological phenomena in the mortal world.
Manifest Destiny is in season 1. And I'm kind of tying quote unquote Flame of Western Civilization to both Manifest Destiny and the God's presence, and also the monsters are chain stores. I
think you're right that it will be presented more. I feel like they'll probably put a hat on it somewhere, but that the perspective of the show, heavy air quotes to the extent that that can exist, is going to be more ambivalent on it than the books being straight up chain stores are monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also such an interesting opportunity for a critique on the wellness industry in this season. You know, like how much of that flavor is going to come through at CC's. We'll see.
I think it co-varies with the goofy epic dial in a lot of ways. That goofy corresponds to heavier linkages to inextricably modern elements, and that we're probably not going to do that much direct linkage, and therefore will be more epic, less asking questions about capital at all, maybe.
You know what's so upsetting? Luke wanted to stage this revolution. He wanted to like destroy Western civilization, raise it, burn it to the ground. And meanwhile, who was bankrolling his entire militaristic endeavor was the freaking triumvirate, who are literally just stand-ins for American billionaires. There is no escape. What a bummer. Do you think he knew that? I don't think Luke knew who the triumvirate was.
No, I don't think so.
Side prediction, is there going to be any Easter egg about the triumvirate on the Princess Andromeda? No. The answer is no, because I don't think anyone's read Trials of Apollo. So much love To everybody who works on that show.
There's a lot of documentation on that fact that we've read
it. The fandom has read it. We have many episodes on it, but I don't think that John Steinberg has time to read.
I don't think it's in the writing room. Yeah, they have other TV shows that they're doing in addition to this.
I don't think that that's there, nor do I think it's necessary. But I do think it's an interesting, in another universe, maybe, that would be present. I have a question about Clarice and her emotional journey. In the book, we're sort of implying that she's getting, well, not even implying, she's literally getting bullied. She has like a piece of paper stuck to the back of her shirt at one point, and Percy thinks she's getting bullied because she didn't bring anybody on the quest with her, when we actually find out that that was like an Ares mandate. But do you think this sense of Clarice outsiderness, outside of just her relationship with her dad, is going to be present? Outsider at camp? I'm thinking no.
I don't know if we have enough time to set that up if that's not going to be the primary narrative. Because even in the book, it's kind of auxiliary.
It's like, yeah, it's this weird thing where like Tantalus is really like choosing Clarice as his champion. And even she is a little bit like, why are you doing that to me? I don't know if that relationship is going to be present. I think maybe she's just like going to pridefully step into her role as quest leader. And then we're going to see her getting bullied by her dad.
Yes. I feel like if we are doing a time-based sort of thematic condensation prioritization, it's going to be all dad. Yeah.
Circling back to the tone question, or rather statement, I think that Charybdis braces cut, I fear. No braces on Charybdis based on what we saw in the trailer. No braces.
I think that's true.
The Minotaur did have underwear in season 1, but that's significantly more iconic than Charybdis braces.
What about Blackbeard on the pirates? Yes or no?
Definitely. We got to see the pirates because otherwise we can't get on Queen Anne's Revenge. Although the ship that they're on in the trailer doesn't look necessarily like a pirate ship. So I don't know. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe there's no pirates.
Yeah, I don't think we have that strong of an indication. It doesn't feel like that much of a lift for there to be pirates.
I think pirates is easy.
Yeah. No.
And fun. And nautical.
And fun. Yeah.
And
I agree.
You can't have John and Dan not have pirates. That would be so sad. I don't know. We'll see. I could go 50-50 on that. This is an intense question. Do you think they're going to keep the prophecy age at 16? Do you think they'd up it to 18 and just act like the kids have been a little bit older this whole time? I don't think it matters. I'm just curious.
Have they said? That's so funny. That's really, really funny.
But just like, it's about like coming of age. Like I could see them changing it to 18.
When nobody's looking?
But also, I don't think it matters. I'm not, please do not get me wrong. If anyone's like new to this podcast, I do not care about the kids' age being accurate. I am literally 26 years old and I audition to play 15-year-olds all the time on TV. So I am not that person who's mad about their age. I'm just curious if you think they would up it.
Now that you're saying it, and that I'm really considering this possibility, they have to at least be talking about it. But I have to confess that in season 1, I was not paying close enough attention to explicit references to grade level age numbers. Or like if they said 16 for Great Prophecy. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think we're locked in. I don't think it matters. I feel like they're not going to change it because I don't think it matters. Right?
Doesn't matter.
Like 18-year-olds playing 16-year-olds is, by Hollywood standards, like wild, refreshing, young.
Once again,
collagen fountain. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. It was a thought. Yeah, I'm sure that it's a conversation that they've had. My prediction is that it's a conversation that they've had, and we could maybe ask a writer about it.
Unfalsifiable predictions.
We could ask a writer if it happened. Annabeth sorcery pitch. My question is, do we think they're going to play it up a little more?
I think okay.
This is CC recruiting Annabeth for anyone who is not finished with their Sea of Monsters reread.
Argument for yes is that episodic structure, as a percentage of stuff going on, CC has to be bigger. We're going to want to do something else.
It's a very short section in the book, and if it's an entire episode,
and
I mean, which is definitely going to be an entire episode,
percentage-wise, is very different. It's much larger. Counterpoint: we have B plots to manage.
But if CC's is the entire A plot of that episode, I do think there's value in Cersei sitting Annabeth down and being like, you deserve more.
I would like to see it, of course.
Percy's the child of a prophecy. Don't you think that you deserve something? You know, Clarice is on a quest.
Yeah. Her whole pitch in the book is already centered around magic, but having a demonstration, maybe.
Yeah.
that just feels, that's how you televise that. You are just having these two characters have a conversation. You're watching them do a thing that can visually translate to concretize that trade-off.
I would also say in the book, it's framed like Annabeth doesn't care, never cared, wasn't interested,
The whole thing is a
pretended to be
deception.
interested. And I think that will not happen for our Annabeth.
I would like for it to not. I mean,
I think that she should seriously consider it.
If we're going to tee up hunters, and if we're going to make Percy genuinely afraid, which is the minimum for teeing up hunters.
Afraid of girlhood. Afraid of female independence. Afraid of women with jobs.
Yeah, he did not visit the Combahee River Collective.
No. Or the planet in the Acolyte. Say it with me. Asexually reproducing lesbian space witches.
Renew it.
They won't.
They won't. I know it's too late for them to go back on an hour past peak TV.
You know you want to do it. Go ahead, renew it. They're not going to.
For Percy, they will. They won't for the
Percy,
Acolyte.
they will. Not for the Acolyte. Yeah, let's be clear. They're renewing Percy. And they're doing Heroes of Olympus. And also the Kane Chronicles. And eventually Magnus Chase. Speaking of the girls, I just want to say my final prediction for the season is that the girls are going to destroy me. I think that Clarice's emotional arc, specifically whatever quote happens in the cave, I'm referencing what Dior and Arian spoke about when we interviewed them at San Diego Comic-Con, that they're going to have their characters are going to have this alone time together in Polyphemus's cave that we've never gotten to see before, the two of them interacting, and what happens in the cave stays in the cave. I think that those conversations are going to wreck me, and Clarice as a whole is going to be a huge highlight of this season for me. Her feeling so alone, and like us getting to see that.
Yes.
They might have her put the fleece on Thalia's tree, but that's a big group fight at the end, you know, like that big reunion and being like, teamwork makes the dream work. I don't have to be alone bullied by my dad. I don't have to take all the glory for myself to prove anything to him. I can be in communion with other people. Like that is going to be my favorite part of this season, I think. Also, whatever happens with Annabeth in the Sirens is going to be wild, and we haven't even talked about that, but we know that that's going to be different. I don't have no thoughts in my head empty for the siren scene, but we know that that's going to be different from the books because they have spoken about that.
I mean, we've seen the Athena set pictures. They haven't announced a Frederick casting yet, right?
No, they haven't said.
People are just posting the pictures of William Jackson Harper constantly
constantly
themselves. Okay.
I myself included. I honestly don't have thoughts on the siren scene.
It's going to be good. We don't have any additional information about it.
Yeah, I don't have predictions other than, well, this isn't a prediction. This is me being delusional and wanting something to happen, that her fatal flaw that she realizes she has isn't hubris, it's perfectionism. It's just a better vocabulary, logistical switch.
But perfectionism isn't a Greek word.
Okay. Okay. My thought is that the only really big thing we don't feel solid on when and where it happens, based on what we've seen in the trailer, is when Percy and Clarice are going to fight on the beach. I don't know when that's happening. I don't know what beach that is or where we are. I don't know if we're in Canada.
I still feel like it's Charleston.
You think that's a Charleston fight? Like oh wait, like Ares summons the Ironclad for her, and then is like, prove myself by defeating Percy. Like prove yourself to me by defeating Percy.
Option one, it's at the Charleston. I could see it being that. I could see it being Clarice is about to leave for the quest and we're actually in Long Island and she beats him and leaves without him on the boat. Yeah, no, I think that Charleston's definitely it feels like the best guess at this juncture.
All right, that's all I've got. Anything else, Carter?
We didn't talk that much about Tyson. I don't know what there is to say. It's going to be good.
Well, I am very excited to see Daniel's performance. I know that whatever it is, it has been handled with care. Yeah. And as we know, that character stands in for a lot of different things, a lot of different representation. I don't think that he's going to be speaking with like a particular voice, or like, I don't know if he'll do like a lack of contractions, which is kind of how they write his dialogue in the book. We'll see.
My guess is that they're going to keep that as wide, as general as possible.
I agree. Similar to how they'll handle the hunters.
The hunters, yeah.
Yeah. Making things as interpretable, as disidentifiable as possible.
Yeah.
That concludes all of our legally recorded predictions for season 2 before we have seen the actual episodes. Everything drops next week. Make sure that you are following us on all of the things. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're going to do a live watch along for the first 2 episodes as we did for season 1. It'll be on our YouTube, time TBD, depending on when they drop the episodes, either Tuesday night or Wednesday night next week. And stick around, stay tuned for our analysis episodes and interviews, hopefully, that will happen, and all other fun stuff that we can share with y'all. When we talk to you next, the season will be out, so enjoy, set sail, all aboard. Bye, y'all.
Bye, all.